Alright, this is Calabos, and we are playing Planescape Torment. We're actually mid-conversation with a Planeswalker, somebody who's done a lot of traveling through the various planes in the D&D mythology, gaming, whatever. They're currently getting the basic description of everything. Let's talk about the upper planes. The neutral, the lawful, and the chaotic. Let's start with neutral. The neutral upper planes contain the beastly, the place of neutrality and goodness, the slight tinge of chaos, where the animals rule in the eternal noon and night. They hold Bitopia, twin paradise of industry and labor. All work towards the good of all. And Elysium, the sweetest plane of goodness and calm I've ever come across. Alas, right now I'm not well enough to enjoy any of their restorative effects. What would you hear of now? Go to the rest of the... So we've looked at neutral, let's look at lawful. Cambrion gives a small shudder. I am not the best person to speak of the planes of Loft. The innate structure and ultimate patterns they impose frighten me. I steer clear of them because I value my individuality more than I value the knowledge they bring me. They include regimented Arcadia, nearest of the good planes, the unbending order of Mechanus, and Mount Celestia, home of the Archons, an island in the Silver Sea. And the chaotic ones. These are where I feel at home, although I steer clear of discard for the most part. The endless battles and tests of metal among the floating earthbergs of the plane don't do much for my discipline. Arborea, though, size. Mountains are taller, the air clearer, the rivers pure, and the game larger than anywhere else. It is a true paradise, a place where passions run high and the wine never ceases to flow. I have recovered enough of my wits and myself. When we have done with the outer planes, you should ask me of the inner, and I will describe my journey to you. I will return to Arborea's bowers and glades and leave myself for a time. Let's go back a step. Let's talk about the inner planes. Then the outer planes now. Think of the inner planes as a globe. On the top pole, you have the positive material plane. On the bottom, you have the negative material. Remind me to tell you of the negative. His eyes turn inward to some private horror. From the interaction between the two springs, all of the urge for existence, non-existence, death and life, actuality and nothing. From them springs the basic elemental planes, like fire, water, air, and earth. Para-elemental planes that lie between four basic elements. Quasi-elemental planes come from interactions of four elements with positive and negative. Tell me of the negative material plane. The eyes cloud over. I went to the inner planes to discover my true essence. I made the mistake of visiting the negative material plane in order to understand my body's urge to decay and the cycle of death and life. I thought myself protected against the ill effects of planes with my magic, but I was wrong. The blackness of infinite nothing pressed upon my soul. I was beset by shadows that sought to snuff out my very soul. I lost my way for a time, for an eternity, and nearly lost my existence. I could feel my essence falling away from me. I am now half gone. Never will I return. Prime material. Want to know of the Prime? Visited. The boundless worlds of that plane have an infinite variety, as do the planes, but I cannot encapsulate them as I have here. Suffice it to say that they are birth of the outer planes, the children of the inner, and they hold limitless potential within their boundaries. What did you mean? Okay. Had that one. None but other questions. Place. I would say that we're in the Smoldering Corpse Tavern. What can you tell me the patrons here? I mind my own business. I would spend too much time away not minding it. Speak to the bartender if you'd learn more of his customers. Place mazes? What mazes? Aye, the mazes where the lady dumps those who displeased her. Makes a small semicircle over his heart as he speaks the lady's name. No more of the lady in the city. Find a tout or some such guide. Okay. I've seen no journals lately but my own, and that has crumpled away into nothingness. My apologies. Fair enough. Farad grew to be a collector. How long ago was it? When I set out last, he was but an ambitious stripling in one of the upper wards. Huh. Time does change some people. No, Seeker, I don't know Farad anymore. I'm willing to bet. Alright, well that was educational. Creaknees. See a slightly stooped older man with a full gray beard and a lion's mane of gray hair. He wears a couple of shoulder guards as armor and a helmet nearby. He smokes a pipe and carries a pouch of tobacco on his waist. He looks pretty strong, but he's a little plump and also appears to have some sort of breathing trouble. Well, now aren't you a sight, lad? Never have I seen so many scars blanketing a fellow. Like the scar cloak you're wearing. Where you been? Hanging out in a grain thresher? Laughs. Oh, I'm just jesting with you, lad. No offense meant, and I hope no offense taken. I'm Ed. Sends his hand. Greetings, Eb. His handshake is firm. Now I hereby tender my apologies for the unfair jesting, lad. Hope no hard feelings. Can I buy you a tankard or two? Smooth any ruffled feathers? Why not? That's the spirit, lad. Bide a moment. He rises to his feet and heads to the bar. After a moment, he returns to a seat with a pair of tankards. Here you go, lad. Drink up. Takes a massive swallow from his own tankard, puffs on his pipe, and says, "What can old Eb do for you this fine sigil day?" I had some questions about this place. Well, I gathered that just to look at you. I mean, you don't look like you're from around these parts, lad. You look a little too out of sorts to be a seasoned native. Eb chuckles and takes another drink. So what can I do to help you with, lad? You need to know the lay of the land? He winks. Are you? Eb Creaknees, third measure of the harmonium, now retired and being a tout with one's voice. I don't step as lightly as I might these past 2 or 3 decades. Chuckles. Now, lad, you and what trouble you might be. In third measure of the harmonium. Aye, third measure of the harmonium. He relaxes a little, though I haven't served a tour of duty in many a decade. Pushing a quill wasn't quite up my alley after all the fights and skirmishes I've been in. I just bide my time keeping tabs on things down here in the hive and helping out a little where I can. You look like someone who might need a hand. Are you in some kind of trouble? What fights have you been in? Rolls his eyes. More than I can remember, lad. Well, almost more than I can remember. Leastwise, I did an all too long tour in the Blood War. That infernal muck-up of War of Lies on Terras. Far too many years in the Black Century War. Ed begins to tick off wars on his fingers and count silent to himself. Then there was the Three Plains War and many others. I even took part in the Harmonium War of Liberation. Oh, towards the end there, I was also in the Steel City Watch. Some could argue that was the most dangerous of them all. Laughs loudly. The mention of the Blood War feels like a cold dagger slipping into your heart. Tell me more of the Blood War. Eb sighs, oblivious to your reaction. Aye, the Blood War, the most dangerous family feud this side of the primordial soup. A mead-spirited mob of fiends on one side, a batch of warmongering fiends on the other. It's the war that creation sparked, and they've been digging into each other ever since. Sets of fiends warring against each other, huh? Aye, the Tanari, vicious killers who care for none but themselves, and the Batizu war machine, for all law and order under their infernal rules. The whole mess spills out at other planes from time to time, and it's made the multiverse a less pleasant place to live. Let's see what it goes about Farad. Farad. Eb frowns, taking the pipe from his mouth. Now, lad, what do you want with work like Farad? Stole some of my belongings. Eb Creaknees. No doubt, lad, no doubt. Eb grumbles, chewing on his pipe. You have to chain everything up around that grasping little spider. He should have had been one of the fated. Anything not chained down slips into his parlor. Don't give him a yard. He'll take a league. What do you know about him? Now, I don't know everything there is to know about old Farod, but I know some of the dark surrounding him. If you're determined to track down that spider and nail him to a wall, then I suppose I could spill some of the chance so you know what you're tangling with. He pauses to tamp his pipe. Farod dug his nest down into Ragpicker Square not too long ago, got a bunch of collectors and gangs together, and started what could almost consider a collecting faction. That is, it may be. Where can I find him? Well, if you're looking for Farod, I'd say it's pretty barmy of you. You're a little off the beaten path. Wanting to find Ragpicker Square. Chances the Farod set up his skip somewhere in the square. An old fellow like me who's been around the ring a few times don't know exactly where. I figure that Farod wants to keep the dark on his location dark. If you're all bound and determined to find Farod, go to Ragpicker Square and try and dig up Farod's location from some of the locals. Try and be careful about it, since there's plenty in the square that would make a gut harp out of you soon as look at you. Sigil and its environments. Don't think small, do you? If you want to know what's outside the city, go to Cambrion Illborn over there. He's the traveler of this place. As for the rest of it, well, I can tell you of the lady, the Dabus, keys, and portals, the way we keep track of time, the way the city's laid out. What does he want to know? Maybe the lady. Well, now, not many know much about the lady. And I'm figuring even those that know more, a little don't know too much more. Mystery she is, and even should you run across her, powers forbid, she's silent and deadly. Not evil as far as I can tell, but she keeps the dark about herself and so pretty tight. No one's been able to penetrate it, and if they have, they've been amazed. Go on. Chances are you won't meet her unless you do something really bad, hurting a lot of people, killing a Dabus, challenging her, cruel, worshipping her. She hates that, we figure, or interfering Dabus' work, which may well be the lady's work. If you're lucky, just the mercy killers will come for you. If she comes, you'll be dead as soon as your shadow falls on you. Now, lady can do almost anything in Sigil Lad, near as we can figure. Make it bigger or smaller, make new portals, seal off old ones, make sure the blood war don't break out in the streets, keeps folks from teleporting into the city, keeps the powers out. For the powers. It's another way of saying gods, lad, and there's a great horde of them across the plains. They can't come to Sigil, though. The lady has a way of keeping them out that she hasn't spilled the chant yet. Be that as it may, it kept Sigil from being seized by outside interest. Dabus. Funny floating bloods that speak in symbols? Ebb laughs. Quite a piece of work, huh? Kind of the lady's janitors and workmen, doing exactly what she wants, making sure Sigil's running up to snuff, patching up walls, tearing down old buildings, building new ones, setting up portals, sealing off others, on and on. They're a pretty neutral, caring bunch. You don't want to interfere with one or kill one, or you'll bring the lady's wrath down on you right quick. Time. The way we measure time in Sigil is by the brightness of the sky, so you haven't got a sun and moon like most worlds. You've just got this everlasting haze that brightens and darkens at regular cycles. What most folks call midnight, we call anti-peak. What they call noon, we call peak. See, it's based on the peak and anti-peak of the brightness. So when someone says 5 hours past peak, that's what they mean. Makes sense. Layout. It floats above an infinitely tall spire, the spire. It lies on its side like a discarded wagon wheel. There's no spokes that connect it to the spire. It's divided into 6 wards, each of them with its own function. Right now you're in the hive. I think the purpose of the hive is to wall over the rest of the grandeur. He laughs. Faction, philosophical clubs, or gangs, if you prefer, divide up the running of the city between them. Go on. The city's called the Crossroads of the Plains, the City of Doors, and the Cage. Got portals to all of creation if they stay in all manner of beasts. Come through here to trade, call, kip, or hop from one place to another. Now that's just a quick version, lad. You'll have to experience the place for yourself. What other places can you recommend? Well, this is perhaps the best kip you could have wandered into from the Start judging by your tattoos. You might be partial to having designs on your body, in which case there's a tattoo salon a little spireward from here. You want to stay away from the alley of dangerous angles if you can. Ignis torched that place not long ago, and ever since a bunch of bad bloods up to Kip there. I think that's pretty much it. Go talk to the bartender. Tell some stuff. You again. What do you want? Time. Yeah, you again. You got a hearing problem or something? You was in here about 15 years ago, got all bubbed up, smashed the place, and left a pile of coin that wasn't enough to pay for the damage. Plucked out your own bleeding eyeball, tells me you'll back here and claim it when you got 200 coin together. 15 years of interest, you've got about 500 coins. Got the jink. Oh, I got your eye. I don't have that much. Are you Arcus, owner and keeper? Did you see the sign out front? The burning over the fireness when you came in? Bouldering corpse cutter. Best damn bub house in Sigil. At least it's the best damn bub house in this part of the hive, which makes it one of the best in Sigil. Oh, they got fancy places with plants and such in Ladies' Ward. Fiendish taverns salted around the rest of the hive, but none of them got the character of the smoldering corpse. Okay. Patrons. I don't make it a good point to interfere with the lives of the people who give me their hard-earned jink unless they ask me to. So over there is Cambrion, Planewalker. Good one to talk to about any planewalking questions you might have. Been pretty much everywhere. Down there is Creaknees, an old Harmonium basher. Don't hold that against him. And a tout. Got a good heart at him, and he knows Sigil up and down. Some fiends over there be Aethelgrin and Vigarin. Word of advice. Don't deal with them. They might be low rankers in the fiend hierarchy, but they're still fiends. Then you got Illquicks over there, not trustworthy. And some mercy killers looking for some poor sod. Dakon the Githzerai is a mystery to me, don't know much about him. Don't talk that much. Finally, you interested in earning some free bub? Yes, I am. The bubber over there against the wall, hanging around the shadows. Been trying to work up the courage to slip out without covering her tab. I want you to make sure she don't do that. Do it, you got free bub here for life. Looking for a journal. Paper and words, friend. That sort of thing don't get much stock down here in the hive. Folks here can barely read the sign above the door, much less an entire journal. If you're looking for a journal, you better have a system instead of asking folks vanilly. Farad. He turns and spits on the floor. Farad. May as well just turn your back and let him sink a dagger in it. But from the looks of you, you already have. You're dead set on finding Farad. Pardon the pun. Up to Ed Creaknees over there. Should know something about you. Okay, so let's... Illquicks. A lot of people to talk to. A short, rotund man and a perplexed expression on his face. From the lines on his skin, looks like it's not too uncommon. He carries a flagon of ale that looks like it's in the process of being emptied rapidly. In between swallows, he speaks in a gentle voice, so quiet you can barely hear his words. Hello, traveler. My name is Illquicks. Can I be of some assistance? Ask some question. Who are you? I'm but a humble man with a slight flowery poetical bent and a tendency towards the supernatural. I regret that I have none of my supplies here. I should be most eager to teach ways of power. Yes. What can you tell me? Smoldering corpse. Drive people. I have some more questions. I am trying to find a way to make this Moche pay for her drinks. Any suggestions? He laughs, his jowls shaking loosely almost. You'd always poison her, friend. A dose of that was always effective. bringing real resolution to nearly any conflict. Of course I'm joking. Of course you are. Bryn, Garen, Matron. You see someone dressed as a female dustman with a half-empty glass in her right hand. As you near, she calls out to you. You, over here. There's something wrong with her. Your exposure to the dustman leads you to believe that she's just too lively to be a real member of the faction. Hey, Cutter, buy a lady a drink. Nothing yet. Not really a dustman, are you? Why do you say that? Because you don't act like a dusty and you're not offering contracts. In fact, you're taking money in instead of giving it out for that corpse labor they do at the mortuary. He stifles a squeak of terror and hastens to explain. No. I'm not a dustman. I just found these robes in the street and I didn't have money to get good clothes. And I heard there was a dustman thief around, but you could probably find him somewhere else in the southwest quarter of the hive. I saw him, but I hid from him. Please don't hurt me. Are you? I'm just Moksha. I just like to drink here, and I'm just a person, you know. I see. They're just dumb people. I don't deal much with people unless they're buying me a drink. She looks at you hopefully. How much do you need? I need about 100 coins to get started on the debt. So she owes 1,000 coins. Bar. You want something else? Yes, some answers. Okay, so let's... talk to bellowing creature slowly. Iron grill on the floor at the bar. Maybe once been human, but now its skin is charred beyond recognition. Streams of fire form a wreath around the creature's body, and the flames lick in pockets of flesh, causing them to run, bubble like wax down the creature's skeletal frames. Greetings. It's dangerous. Leave alone.
Done. I'm hurt. I'm hurt.
My jaw is hanging on by a thread. Would you see that?
I'm hurt.
Oh, great. I hope he doesn't lose his memories this time. I hope you haven't forgotten yourself. I don't want to explain our boring adventures all over again.
They are pretty boring. I mean, not that boring, but all right. So let's go ahead and we'll call it here. We'll go again. Made some pretty good progress as far as exploring. I think that there's a little bit more in that section that we could go see. But this is as good a place as any to stop. So, hope you liked the episode. If you did, leave me a like. If you didn't, don't. Questions, comments, and concerns can all go below. Have a good night.